Welcome to another amazing episode of Suave and Sassy Seniors with Sonia. Listen, I'm so glad each and every one of you are here. Now, just in case this is someone first time seeing this show, I want to tell you a little bit about our show. On this show, we highlight who I feel is our greatest generation. On this show, I bring some of our greatest seniors that are doing things in the community and around our nation. Today, I have a special guest for you all. You're going to love her. She is amazing. But before we get started, before I bring her on screen, I want to ask you to click, like, and share this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're seeing this on social media, Facebook, click, like, and share it. Tell someone about it because you're going to get some great information today. So today, I'm going to go ahead and add our very esteemed guest to the show, Dr. Bracy. Welcome to our show today, Doctor.
Thank you so much for the invite to be a part of this show today. I appreciate it.
Now, I met Dr. Bracy at a event in Titusville, Florida. It was a event that a young lady event called All Black, and it was for dental care for the community. And her husband were set up there, and they were selling some books. So, Dr. Bracy, could you introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing.
Thank you so much. LaVon Bracy, and I live in Orlando, Florida. I am retired. My husband and I started a church about 30 years ago, and we retired in 2012. I wrote a children's book about my experience of integrating the public school system of Alachua County, which is Gainesville, Florida. I wrote this children's book because I want kids to know how difficult it was in the 60s and the 70s. And in spite of how difficult it was, we became victorious. I was the first to graduate from Gainesville High in 1965. It was not easy. I was verbally abused and physically abused, but I knew that there would be children that would be coming behind me that were depending on me to be successful. And so I wrote the children's book, Brave Little Cookie, so that kids know that they can be bold, they can be brave, and they certainly can be successful.
Wow. Now, this book with this information will be in the link. I bought the hardback and the softback. So let me just plug something in here. It's so important to know our history. You know, Dr. Bracy, a lot of people, especially younger people, they seem to not remember, not to want to know that. But people like you paved the way for young people that are in school now. And that's why it's so important to appreciate being able to go to school and see diversity, because it was people like you who paved the way. So could you tell us a little bit about the book? I mean, tell us, like you said that you were physically abused. People fought you. Look, I like this when you look like you're laying in the bed troubled and the police are there. Tell us a little bit. Can you take us a little bit on a little journey?
I certainly take you on a little journey. My dad was the president of the NAACP in Gainesville, Florida. In fact, we moved there from St. Augustine, Florida. He was the president of the NAACP also in St. Augustine. And in St. Augustine, the Ku Klux Klan ran us literally out of town. And so we moved from St. Augustine to Gainesville. My mother was a school teacher. My dad was a minister. And my mother had lost 2 jobs because of my dad's activities with the NAACP. So when we get to St. Augustine, Dad surveys to see what it is in St. Augustine. I mean, what it is in Gainesville that we should address, what issues. And he finds out in 1964 that the school system is still segregated. It was 1954 when Brown versus the Board of Education passed and said that schools needed to integrate. Well, when Dad went to the school board meeting, he was told by the school board members that they were not going to integrate the school systems in Gainesville, and it would be another 10 years before they considered it. So Dad filed a suit against the school board for them to integrate. And the judge said that they had to integrate with all deliberate speed immediately. So then Dad had to find students that would leave the all black school to go to the all white school. His strategy was, let's start at high school because we'll have a graduation the very next year. He found a 10th grader, 11th grader, and no 12th grader. He was so distraught because he knocked on about 500 doors and he only found two people. So I was a 12th grader and my brother was a 12th grader. We were not twins. I had skipped a grade. So I told my brother, let's go to the all white school and Dad will be so happy and things will be just great. And my brother refused. He says, I am very popular at the all black school. I'm in the band. I'm in the student council. I have 3 girlfriends. I'm not about to leave my girlfriends to go to a place where nobody wants me. So I told Dad, send me, I will go. So there we have a 10th, 11th, and 12th grader. So before school started, the FBI came to the house, told my dad that this was not a good idea, that the community was toxic and Gainesville was not ready for the integration. So Dad says, I refuse because if they're not ready now, they never will be. So Dad worked out with the FBI that he would be responsible to take us to school every day and to bring us back. So that's what he did. On the first day that we were going to school, we were escorted every day by a policeman in front and a policeman in back. Dad would take all 3 of us, have prayer, and then we would go to our classes. The 10th grader went to their class, the 11th grader went to their class, and I was the 12th grader. I was surrounded by about 6 white kids saying, we don't want you here. We don't want our class to make history, and we want you to leave. They spit on me. They called me the N-word. So I proceed to go to my class. And when I get to my class, everybody in the class gets up and go to the other side of the room. And the teacher says, why are you standing? And they said, well, we'd rather stand than sit by the N-word. So they would stand up. So every day that I would go to class, uh, at my seat, I could find dead roaches and rats and snakes under the seat. And in the seat, I'd find tacks and very nasty notes. I spent a year in complete silence. There were 550 students in my class. I know none of them by name. To make matters worse, one day I get to go to class. I was jumped by about 6 white boys. They beat me unmercifully. I have in my head, I can have stitches from here all the way in the back. And I just thought that would be the last day on earth. I waited until I thought it was safe. I got up and I stumbled into the principal's office, told the principal I had been attacked. And the principal says, how do I know you didn't leave home like that? I didn't see anybody attack you. And if by chance they did, that should let you know that we don't want you here. So I asked the principal, could I use the phone? The principal said no. Now, this is long before cell phones. So I stumbled, bleeding profusely, across the street to a phone booth. That's where they had those red phone booths, and they have a phone in there. You put a dime in there and you make a phone call. And I called Dad and told him to come pick me up. Dad came and picked me up, took me to the only black doctor in town. I went to the doctor. The doctor stitched me up, says, "You've been beaten up pretty badly." He said, "You need to go home." And I said to Dad, "Dad, I can't go back. I'm going to go back to the black school." He says, "Well, you don't have to go back." So I stayed home about 4 or 5 days. And I said, "Dad, take me back to school." And he says, "I thought you weren't going back." I said, "You know what? If I don't go back, they win. And I can't afford to let them win." So I went back to school. And they redoubled their efforts. They got very abusive, and they would send me letters and saying, "We didn't kill you then, but we're going to kill you at graduation." So when graduation came up, my brother and I graduated the same day. I'm at Gainesville High and he's at Lincoln High. So I asked my parents, "Please, let's all go to my brother's graduation and I don't have to march." And my mom said, "All the hell you've been through, you are going to march." So my mother went to my brother's and my dad came to my graduation. I did not want to tell my dad that I had been threatened so much and that they were going to really try to do bodily harm to me at the graduation. So I get to the graduation, and my graduation was at the University of Florida at the McConnell Center. Now I get there and police are everywhere. I didn't know if the police was there because they knew of the threats or if the police was there so that there would not be a problem, since this was the first graduation with an African American there. So Dad said, "Get out of the car." I was very hesitant to get out of the car because I knew what the threats were. I got out of the car and then I says, "Well, so many police are here. They may not try to do some harm to me." So I got out of the car and I got in line. I was able to graduate without incident. So I told my dad, I says, "I have to go to a historically black school. I cannot go now to a school where I am in the a minority. I need to go to a school where I'm in the majority." So that was a traumatic experience for me. I was able to endure. I was able to reach my goal of graduating. And so I was bold and brave. And that's why I wrote Brave Little Cookie.
Well, first of all, let me show this. Let me show this. That's when you were beat. Just the link for this book would be below. That's when you went to the only black doctor that was in the city. Now I live in Jacksonville, Florida. Gainesville, Florida is about an hour or two away from me. Every person needs to get this book for their children to see. It's not speaking of hatred, but of history. And here's the first African American diploma from Gainesville High School.
Thanks.
Miss Bracy.
Yes.
Excuse me, Doctor.
Okay.
Let's be clear. Dr. Bracy, okay? Let's be 100% clear with that one. I want to tell you thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because your bravery allowed me to be able to go to school and graduate in 1987 at a segregated high school. I mean, integrated, not segregated high school.
Right.
And for this, I say thank you.
Thank you.
People like you who stood. And these are the stories that need to be told.
Yes.
We have to know our history so that we can appreciate what we have.
Absolutely.
And you know, if I'm glad you went back.
Yes.
Thank you for your tenacity.
Thank you.
Because, you know, someone had to do it.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
I don't know if I would have been strong enough to go back after the
Yeah.
principal said that, and but you didn't play the role of the victim. You were the victor.
Right.
And for this alone, I say thank you.
Thank you.
That is
Thank
amazing. You my new hero, ladies.
thank
Listen,
you.
this book is at Amazon. A brave little cookie.
Yeah, well, it can get it. They can get it on my website, bravelittlecookie.com.
Let me type that in here right now. Hold on.
Okay, bravelittlecookie.com. If they go to bravelittlecookie.com, they can buy a hard or a soft copy. Because I want kids to know that they can be bold and they can be brave.
Is that it?
That's it, bravelittlecookie.com.
Get this book. Share it with your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews. This is history. This is why I do this show. So you can meet heroes like this. You can meet brave people who paved the path for us. Black and white. Black and white. This is not about, trying to make anyone feel bad, but this is history. You can't
Right.
change that it happened.
That's right.
But we're not these people today, right? So
Absolutely.
your white parent, it's not that you're teaching your children hate, but they need to see what happened. And maybe they can understand why people of a certain color are angry. So this is
Yeah.
not only for black people to buy this book for their kids, but black people need this book for their kids. Hispanic need this book for their children. White people, Asian people, we need this book. We need to heal. Now,
Absolutely.
Dr. Bracy,
Yes.
what advice would you give to a young parent or a young student today about what's going on now?
Well, I would say to parents and kids that these are difficult times right now, and that kids need to stay focused. They need to stay focused on their education, and they need to know that their objective is to finish. Anything that you start, you ought to finish. You need to be careful of your surroundings, watch everything that is going on, but you need to not get distracted by those and the issues that are before us. Be careful, but also be vigilant, because we need our black boys and our black girls to finish elementary school, middle school, high school, and continue their education so that they will be a great contributor to this society. It can happen. It happened then, and 55, 56 years ago, and it can happen now. Stay focused.
That is amazing advice. That is amazing advice, Dr. Bracy. You know, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Please, guys, get this book, bravelittlecookie.com. You don't have to order from Amazon. You can order right from Dr. Bracy so that
Yes.
she can get her own proceeds from this book and what she endured. Bravelittlecookie.com, and the link will be below. Also, it'll be available on my website,
Thank
Sonia
you.
Dunbar. I'll put her link on my website so you can order the book. I'm so excited and I'm so blessed to have had you on our show, Dr. Bracy. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for everything that you've
Thank you.
done for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for just letting me share my story. And I do want parents to know that their kids can be brave and they can be bold. So I hope my story will motivate their kids so that they can finish and be successful.
Thank you, Dr. Bracy. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.